Hey guys, it's Kay from Chaos Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/HumansBeingBros. An airhead I just received from an adorable little girl while I wait for my significant other at the barbershop. She had a whole pack and made her mom get my attention so she could share. Oh, that's such a sweet gesture. In the comments, she also mentioned that she had like a whole box of them and wanted to give her her favorite flavor. So I have this wallet / coin purse, right? Let's begin with the significance that this little item holds for me. It was given to me as a gift from my boyfriend as a Christmas present. I'm the kind of person that treasures anything because it's really the thought that counts. Anyways, I've had this little thing for a couple months now and have not misplaced it until last Wednesday. While at school, I put it in my back pocket and forgot about it. Later that day, I was looking for the wallet and I was unable to find it. Unfortunately, it was too late to call the college's lost and found department, so I called the following day. To my surprise, someone had turned it into lost and found, so I was able to retrieve my wallet that same day. As you can imagine, I was relieved and also surprised that I was able to find my item with all of its contents. Bus pass, medical cards, ID, credit cards, etc. still intact. Well, this didn't last. The following morning, I went to work and went about my day. For lunch, I decided to head across the street to grab a quick bite, but at checkout, I was not able to pay because, once again, I couldn't find my wallet. I canceled my order and simply thought I had forgotten to put my wallet in my work backpack. As soon as I got home, I searched for my wallet in my school backpack, but it was not there. I tried to contact my Lyft driver who had given me a ride that morning to see if my wallet had been forgotten in his car, but to no avail. Suddenly, I remembered that I had used my debit card, which was in my wallet, earlier that morning while in a different Lyft ride. I had no recollection if I had put it back in my backpack or in my jacket pocket. I thought that surely I must have misplaced it during my ride as the car was ill-lit. I filed a report and proceeded to wait for a response. Later in the afternoon, I hear a knock on the door. My aunt answers it and a male voice greets her. He told my aunt that he lives around my area and had visited McDonald's earlier that day and found my wallet. I was listening from my room and was in complete disbelief that once again a person had taken the time out of their day to return an item that was lost even though they knew nothing of that person. I stepped outside and thanked him several times for his act of kindness. Good humans still exist. That those people, both times that things were turned in and everything was still in there, because a lot of times people will return an item, but then, a credit card's missing, or later on they find out their identity's been stolen, or all the cash has been ripped out of it. So it's really refreshing to hear that both times people went out of their way to return that item without taking anything from it. This next one is a picture of Teresa Kachin-Damoto. She is considered the terminator of child marriages. She broke up over 850 marriages in Malawi, and she's standing next to a sign that reads no, and it says "Unite to end violence against women and girls." So in some countries, there is a definite problem with child marriages, basically a marriage with one person being a child, and it's very not okay. And to see that there's someone advocating and being able to help those people who are in situations of this nature, that she's been, being able to kind of save them from that. So I thought she deserved some recognition, even if it is just in this random Reddit video. Thank you for all the hard work you do in making some people's lives better that have been in tragic situations. This happened in 7th grade. I had a crush on this girl and I managed to get a seat right beside her. We were in the last seat of the bus like cool kids. On my other side was a classmate who I knew, but we weren't friends. And naturally, when a guy has a crush, all the other guys know. So when we're returning, I had an urge to fart. I thought it would be a silent one, so I let it slip. It was freaking loud. So my crush starts laughing and asks, "Who did that?" My face begins to go red just as my classmate says, "Oh, it was me. Sorry, must be the burritos." I thanked him as soon as we got off, and my faith in humanity was restored. If that isn't the definition of a bro, I don't know what is. Now this next one here is a picture of a long line of people, and then there's a picture in that of a little boy who looks like he might be in a hospital. And it reads, 4,855 people stood in the rain for hours to see if they are a stem cell match for this 5-year-old boy that is battling a rare type of cancer. So bravo to all 4,855 people who came out and stood out in the rain just to see if they would be a match for this little boy. That's amazing, and I'm so happy to hear that there were 3 matches for this boy. Such a wonderful outcome of this situation. So I work as a lube tech, and some days get fairly stressful. Working with cars, having maybe 1 or 2 come back with previous issues. I was completely stressed today, and as I was about to pull a car out, before that, the service manager came up to me and told me to leave the keys inside when I park it. I drove the car up front and left the keys in, closing the door. The gentleman, a guy probably in his late 60s, came up to me and asked if his car was ready, to which I nodded and opened the door for him. Instead, he shut the door, took my hand, and shook it. He said, "Thanks, son. I can't do this kind of work anymore. I'm glad they have a good man like you working. Is there anything I need to know about my car?" I tell him everything that was performed, and he smiles at me. "I expected nothing less. You take care, and I'll see you personally the next time I bring my car in." I had to take a few minutes in the bathroom to stop crying. I think this is such a simple but kind thing to occur, I guess, because while he's really just saying, hey, what's going on with my car, and thanks for, doing what you're doing, it's really the way he's going about it, because you can tell that this guy cares about his vehicle. It's something that was probably important for him to do himself, and that he is thanking this guy for being personally responsible basically for his car, because it's something that he can't do anymore, and just really showing genuine appreciation for him and his job. It's very moving. I don't even know why, but I'm tearing up over this guy pretty much just thanking a lube tech for doing his job, and I don't know, I just like this subreddit. Sitting in my car in front of the post office waiting 10 minutes because they're closed for lunch. This woman tried to go in, and I let her know they were closed for another 10 minutes. She started chatting, and I jokingly said, "Hop in, let's go for a spin to kill the 10-minute wait." She did. Friends, meet Beverly. I bet that was such a fun thing for them to do. That's so neat. So basically my health has kind of taken a nosedive so far into the earth. It's now somewhere in Melbourne, and as you might expect, I've not been feeling too happy. I have depression anyway, and now I'm in constant pain, and have had to make lots of changes in my life, like more medication, physio, using a wheelchair, and getting used to this new diet, which is essentially permanent keto. No carbs, no sugar, no starch, basically nothing but meat and vegetables forever. I'm a student, and over the Easter break, I came home to visit my mom. I opened the door to the gorgeous waft of baking. When I told my mom about my diagnosis and prescription, she immediately went out and bought a ton of cookbooks and alternate ingredients for my visit. While I was on the train about 6 hours, she'd spent the whole day making cupcakes, a huge sponge cake, and cookies. She'd even made her own chocolate chips to go in them. The kitchen was packed with all of these creative alternatives she'd found and experimented with for all my favorite foods that I've been complaining about missing, like pasta, chicken nuggets, cheese. Honestly, I've always said my mom is the best, but what a thoughtful and sweet thing to do for me. I'm really moved. This is such a sweet thing to do, instead of just being like, oh, well, I guess you can eat the ham or something like that. To really be able to find a way to include all the things that they enjoy in a way that they can actually enjoy them with their new diet restrictions. That's such a sweet mom. I was just popping across the road to get some milk at the servo, and this drunk Nepalese guy stumbled up to me asking for directions to get a taxi, and then broke down crying in front of me. I stayed with him for over an hour to listen to him, gave him my number, and told him we could hang out next weekend. The poor guy felt so isolated and has no friend network at all. He said in his 5 years of being in this country, I'm the first person to ever stop and take the time to talk to him. That's pretty messed up, considering you all know how much of a jerk I am. Turns out he was a death metal vocalist back home, so I'm gonna try to throw something together for him to record on, because music is awesome like that. I know for me, being creative gives me a sense of self-worth. Without it, I feel worthless. I think it's so crazy, like, how people can just be brought across your path at the right time for the one thing that you need, and this guy just needed somebody to talk to him and recognize that he was a human being and be friends with him and just hear him out. And I can't imagine going 5 years without really having a friend network, without being able to just talk to somebody, not about work, not about, just what needs to be done, but to actually just talk as a person. And that's so cool that he found that out about him being that death metal vocalist. I think it'd be really cool to see what he gets to do with that music and all of that. Went out with my spousal equivalent last night. It was a super fun night. We planned on it for a few months. DJ Orjan Nilsson at a club in Scottsdale, Arizona. We went outside to grab some air and get some space a couple hours in, and he had to go to the bathroom, so I was just enjoying my drink and the atmosphere and people watching, and this dude comes up to me and starts hitting on me, and I just smile and say, "I'm married, blah 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 blah," and he's in the bathroom like, "Please go away." And this dude is relentless, keeps touching me and telling me his girlfriend thinks I'm cute and to go inside with him to meet her. Just weird crap stuff. And I'm a confident female, but he was in my face, borderline aggressive with his words and mannerisms. I admittedly was feeling threatened. I was getting nervous, and thank Dumbledore, some random crap chick sat next to me, and I immediately turned to her and yelled, "Girl, where were you? Did you get me my drink?" And guess what? This gem completely picked up the crap I was laying down, and she gave me her drink, put her arm around me, and read that creep dude his last rites with her eyes. She will most likely never read this, but I'm so thankful for her because she was my club angel last night. Ladies, always be aware of and for each other. We are stronger than we think. Thank you again, stranger friend. I don't understand how people don't take hints when it comes to basically, no, I'm in a relationship and I'm not interested in joining yours. And how they think that they can keep going on and on. And it's really great when people look out for each other and play along for the safety and general comfort of other people so that they don't have to be in really awkward, uncomfortable, and sometimes even unsafe situations. Now here is a picture of 2 grandma's cookies packages and a sparkling ice drink and a paper that says, Chewy.com delivery person. This is for you. Please take. Thank you for delivering our cat food and litter. Scout and Abby. And then it has a drawing of 2 paw prints and a kitty cat face. That's so sweet for them to leave that for the delivery person because, again, I know we've talked about this a little bit in other r/HumansBeingBros videos, but, just this sense of people are people, and even though, yes, they're paid to do their job, just showing some people appreciation and kindness can mean the world to people, and I'm sure it did for this person as well. My mom recently was diagnosed with cancer. Thankfully, they detected it just in time and removed the tumor, but she is in chemotherapy right now. Many of her friends, people in her community, and her best friend, who she hasn't talked to in years, have visited her in the hospital, gave her gifts, and even donated some food to us. However, this story kind of stands out to me. My mom has a friend who owns a bakery that we go to every week to get some sweetbread. She has heard about what happened to my mom. My dad goes to buy $20 worth of sweetbread, but is charged $4 instead. He notices and says that she made a mistake. She tells him that it wasn't a mistake and to tell my mom to get well soon. She still charges us only the quarter of the price, even though my dad pleaded to her not to do this. She says she just wants to help my mother because she has helped her through certain events in life. It's great to see that her friends and the community have rallied around her and helped them in their time of need. But sometimes it is just that there's just sometimes some specific thing that sticks out to you. And that friend owning a bakery, she's probably selling that at cost or maybe even less for them to be able to still, technically buy it and all that, but to have a deep discount on something that she really enjoys as a way to help out in a kind of financial sense, because that's probably something that they buy often. It's just a really, really nice gesture. Now, this next story was submitted by a viewer to my email, and they weren't sure where this went, and I felt like because of the positivity that it would belong here in an r/HumansBeingBros, so here we go. I have a little positive story for you that has been a point of light in my life for almost 20 years. I don't know for sure what category it will fit in, but here we go. Shortly after the tragic events and loss of life on September 11th, 2001, I was at the Air Force Base where my husband was stationed to pick up some medications at the pharmacy. When I walked into the building, a young soldier stationed in front was looking terrified, grim, and determined at the same time. I couldn't help but thank him for protecting us and got an uncertain smile from him before his eyes snapped front again. But this story is not about him. That bit just describes the setting. At this particular hospital, the maternity ward has an endearing habit of playing the first few bars of Brahms Lullaby over the PA system when a baby is born. I walked up to the pharmacy and took my ticket and looked around. The room was full to the brim of silent, grieving, and angry people. Newspapers were lying on tables, the stories nothing but anguish, grief, and destruction. I spotted an empty chair and sat down. Across from me was a lady who appeared to be a guest or a relative of one of the military families. English was very clearly her second language. She smiled at me as I sat down, and we chatted a bit about the awful events. Just then, the PA system came alive with the sounds of Brahms' Lullaby. There was a noticeable murmur from the crowd, and she looked at me with a question in her eyes. I explained that the hospital played that song whenever a baby was born. The lady exclaimed softly how sweet that was, and I said, "Life does go on." Both our eyes filled with tears as we smiled at each other, and then I was called to the window to get my medications. Across the following years, I have often thought of that brief, shining moment in time that stood out in the midst of all the horror and grief. The personnel who implemented that lovely procedure probably never knew how much that would mean to at least 2 people that day. I hope that lady remembers it too. Thank you for submitting that story for us to hear. It is something that I feel emotional about. Even though I was pretty young when that event occurred, I remember distinctly names scrolling across the screen on the TV and my mom sobbing in the living room, just looking at all the names, and we weren't even directly affected by having any family or anything like that in the lives that were lost on that day in that event. But that is amazing that even through all that tragedy and fear and people being worried and everything seeming dark, that beautiful song can be played, because there is a new birth and a new life coming into the world. And life does go on. There is new life even in the midst of darkness and grief. And it's such a special moment that she and that other lady that she had no idea who she was, they could share in that moment of time. And I just thought that was such a beautiful story. So thank you so much for sharing it. I'm going to try to not get super emotional. That's actually going to end today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. I really do enjoy going through this subreddit. I think it's something that maybe I do more personally for you guys. Specifically, I know it doesn't appeal to a whole lot of people because it's not real dramatic and crazy and, outlandish and everything, but I think it's good to hear the good things in the world and I guess restore your faith in humanity and have a little good emotion and good cries, good tears and whatnot. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching today. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and drop a like, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!